Have you ever noticed that the people who achieve remarkable things often seem to walk their path alone, even when surrounded by others? It is not a curse nor a sign of failure, but a natural consequence of pursuing what matters most with conviction. Today, I want to invite you to reflect on what it truly means to be great, to lead with integrity, and to cultivate strength that does not depend on the applause or approval of others. By the end of this reflection, you will understand why solitude can be your greatest ally, how the right decisions often require standing apart, and how your life can thrive even when the crowd does not follow. I encourage you to subscribe and stay with this channel, not for fleeting entertainment but as a companion in your journey toward wisdom, clarity, and self-mastery. For in the quiet moments when you face choices alone, you will discover the depth of your courage and the weight of your potential. Remember this: true greatness is forged not in the comfort of companionship, but in the courage to walk the path few dare to tread, with purpose in every step. There is a profound truth I have learned in my life, one that is often misunderstood. The road to meaningful accomplishment is rarely crowded with companions who truly understand your vision. From the earliest days of my youth, I found that the ideas I carried, the convictions I held, were often met with skepticism, doubt, or indifference. I could have sought approval, adapted to the expectations of others, or walked the safer, more familiar path, but doing so would have required surrendering a part of myself. I tell you this because you too will face moments when the path before you is yours alone, when the choices that align with your values will not be popular, and when standing apart will feel isolating. It is in these moments, when the world does not cheer or even understand, that your character is forged. Solitude in pursuit of purpose is not a punishment, it is a privilege. It allows you to think deeply, act with clarity, and make decisions that reflect the person you are becoming, rather than the expectations others impose. Consider your own life. How often have you hesitated because the crowd's opinion felt heavier than your own conviction? The truth is, people may not always see the vision you carry, nor will they immediately appreciate the courage it takes to pursue it. I have walked through the noise of criticism, the weight of doubt, and the loneliness that accompanies conviction, and I discovered that the only approval that matters is your own. When you act from a place of integrity, guided by reason, empathy, and reflection, your steps carry far more weight than the applause or disapproval of the crowd. The wise understand that companions may come and go, alliances may shift, and admiration may be delayed, yet the pursuit of purpose requires steady feet, a clear mind, and a heart willing to bear the quiet burden of responsibility. Walking alone does not mean being disconnected. It means being selective with your energies, choosing the influences that nourish your mind and spirit, and distancing yourself from voices that dilute your vision or undermine your integrity. In my life, I often faced public scrutiny and private doubts, yet it was in the deliberate solitude of reflection, planning, and honest evaluation that I found the courage to act decisively. You too can learn to see solitude not as emptiness, but as a space of empowerment, a place where your decisions are yours alone, and where the growth of your character is nurtured away from distractions, superficial judgments, or the ephemeral approval of others. Ask yourself, where in your life have you compromised clarity for companionship? When have you avoided solitude, fearing judgment or loneliness, yet lost an opportunity to act in alignment with your values? True greatness, I assure you, is not measured by the number of people who follow you at every step, but by the steadfastness with which you walk the path few dare to tread. In solitude, there is a freedom to confront your doubts, refine your strategy, and cultivate the patience and resilience that companionship alone cannot teach. Those who learn to embrace this quiet power will find that, eventually, the right allies appear, not because they were sought out, but because they are drawn to the authenticity and purpose that your independent path radiates. There is a misconception that leadership is proven by the number of followers or the ease with which people agree with your choices. I have discovered, through trials that tested both the nation and my own resolve, that true leadership often requires standing apart. When the weight of responsibility rests solely upon you, when the decisions you must make are unpopular or misunderstood, your strength is measured not by consensus, but by conviction and clarity. You too will face moments when guiding others, or even yourself, requires courage that cannot be borrowed from applause or approval. Walking alone in these moments is not a mark of failure, but a reflection of integrity. It is in the quiet decision-making, the careful weighing of options, and the willingness to act despite misunderstanding that genuine influence is cultivated. Think about the times in your life when doing what was right demanded solitude. Perhaps it was a difficult conversation, a career decision, or the need to break patterns that no longer served you. In those moments, the voices of others may have seemed louder, their judgments more pressing, yet the path forward required you to trust your own reasoned judgment. I have often faced criticism and opposition, yet I found that when my decisions were guided by principle rather than popularity, the outcomes, though delayed in recognition, carried enduring impact. Influence, therefore, is less about visibility and more about authenticity, less about being followed and more about leading with clarity and purpose. Walking alone also sharpens discernment. When you cannot rely on the consensus of the crowd, you are compelled to listen more deeply, to your own instincts, to the lessons of experience, and to the values you hold most dear. This practice nurtures judgment, patience, and foresight. In my own life, making choices that were contrary to prevailing opinion often felt isolating, yet it was in those very moments that I cultivated the inner authority to act decisively, with empathy, and with an understanding of the long-term consequences that immediate applause could never reveal. You too can harness solitude as a teacher, recognizing that the quiet moments of reflection allow you to strengthen not only your decision-making, but also the resilience required to navigate the inevitable misunderstandings of others. Ask yourself now, when have you allowed the desire for agreement to cloud your judgment? How might your influence grow if you embrace the responsibility of making choices that are true to your values, even if misunderstood? Leadership is not always celebrated. It is often lonely, and yet it is in that very solitude that the seeds of greatness are planted. The strength to stand alone, to hold your principles firmly while others doubt or hesitate, is a rare and precious quality. It is the silent foundation upon which lasting impact is built, and the path you walk alone now may one day be the guidepost for others who recognize the wisdom in your courage. Solitude is not merely the absence of others. It is the space where character is forged, where patience is cultivated, and where resilience grows in quiet strength. I have walked through storms of doubt, faced the scorn of those who could not understand my vision, and felt the isolation that accompanies responsibility. In those moments, I learned that true power is cultivated inwardly, that the voice of the world must never outweigh the quiet counsel of reason and conscience within. You too will encounter moments where the absence of companionship is not a punishment but an opportunity to observe your thoughts, refine your decisions, and strengthen the courage that must carry you forward. Solitude, when embraced, becomes the most powerful mentor, teaching you endurance, focus, and the capacity to act decisively even when the crowd cannot see or comprehend your path. Reflect on the trials you have faced in your own life. Perhaps it was a decision at work that required risk, a personal choice that demanded honesty despite pressure, or a moment of moral courage that few appreciated. In each instance, the world may have been silent or even critical, yet the only approval that mattered was your own. By relying on your inner judgment and by embracing the discipline of solitude, you gain an independence that is unshakable. This is not isolation. It is empowerment. The strength to face challenges alone, to make decisions with conviction, and to persevere without constant validation is a mastery few attain, yet it is available to you if you nurture it. I have also learned that walking alone sharpens clarity. When the distractions of popular opinion and external influence are removed, you see the true contours of your goals, the real weight of your responsibilities, and the honest measure of your character. This clarity allows you to act with precision, to navigate conflict with composure, and to lead by example without needing recognition. In your own life, moments of solitude may feel uncomfortable or even frightening, yet they offer the chance to strengthen self-trust, refine judgment, and cultivate patience, the qualities that sustain both personal growth and effective leadership. Ask yourself, when have you relied too much on the presence or approval of others to validate your choices? How might your resilience grow if you accepted the quiet discipline of walking your path alone, trusting your values and your judgment over the clamor of external voices? True greatness is rarely crowded with constant affirmation. It grows in the disciplined silence of reflection, in the consistent practice of integrity, and in the courage to act when no one is watching. Those who cultivate this inner fortitude discover that solitude is not emptiness, but a source of profound strength, clarity, and the kind of enduring influence that changes lives without fanfare. Walking alone is not simply a test of endurance, it is a lesson in patience, a training ground for strategic thinking, and a space where the mind can weigh choices without distraction. I have faced decisions of immense consequence, where the wrong move could have brought disaster. Yet the voices around me clamored for immediate action, for reassurance, for approval. In those moments, the ability to pause, to reflect, and to act only when reason and principle aligned proved more valuable than any counsel or cheer from the crowd. You too will encounter situations where haste or external pressure tempts you to compromise your judgment. The quiet strength cultivated in solitude allows you to step back, observe, and make decisions that honor both your values and your long-term goals. This patience is not weakness, it is a mastery of impulse, a preservation of clarity, and a cultivation of influence that endures far beyond immediate recognition. Consider the times in your life when you rush to conform, to satisfy others' expectations, or to avoid the discomfort of standing apart. What might have been possible if you had taken the time to reflect quietly, to weigh consequences, and to act deliberately? In my own life, many of the choices that seemed most isolating in the moment became the ones that shaped lasting impact. Patience nurtured clarity, silence preserved focus, and the discipline of walking alone allowed me to navigate challenges with foresight and composure. You can apply this principle now. When you feel the pressure to conform, to explain, or to justify, pause and remind yourself that true influence often grows in quiet preparation rather than public display. Solitude also sharpens discernment. When you are alone, free from the biases, distractions, and pressures of others, your decisions reflect your values more accurately. You learn to anticipate obstacles, to consider consequences, and to act with intentionality. The crowd may never understand the timing or reasoning behind your choices, yet this independence is precisely what allows you to lead effectively, to influence wisely, and to live authentically. Ask yourself, how often have you allowed the urgency of others' opinions to cloud your judgment, and how might your life change if you embrace the discipline of solitary reflection? The answer lies in the power to act with strategy, patience, and unshakable integrity, even when the path is lonely. Embrace solitude as your ally, not your punishment. It is in these moments that you cultivate foresight, develop resilience, and strengthen your capacity to navigate life's complexities with clarity. Every thoughtful pause, every deliberate choice made alone, is a step toward mastery, influence, and the kind of enduring success that cannot be measured by popularity or applause. By walking alone wisely, you prepare not only for the challenges ahead, but for the satisfaction of knowing your life is guided by principle, vision, and steady purpose. Walking alone is not always easy. It challenges your confidence, tests your patience, and sometimes awakens doubts you would rather ignore. I have faced those moments countless times, when the weight of responsibility and the silence of solitude seemed almost unbearable. Yet in those moments I discovered an essential truth. Resilience is born in quiet reflection, in the ability to trust yourself when others cannot, and in the courage to remain steadfast even when no one else stands beside you. You too will find that your strength is measured not by the comfort of companionship, but by the steadiness of your mind and the conviction of your heart. In your own life, think of the times you have sought reassurance from others, only to feel uncertainty deepen when their advice conflicted or failed. There is wisdom in learning to rely on your own judgment, in testing your instincts, and in validating your choices internally rather than externally. Solitude allows you to develop this self-trust, to see clearly the value of your decisions, and to respond with calm rather than panic. The moments you feel most alone are also the moments when your character, patience, and emotional resilience are strengthened. Ask yourself, when have you allowed external opinion to influence your inner stability? How might your life transform if you cultivated the ability to stand firm, make decisions, and persevere without constant validation? The solitude of walking your path alone is not emptiness. It is the forge in which your emotional resilience is tempered, your judgment is sharpened, and your capacity to navigate life with confidence is expanded. Those who master this skill discover a profound independence that carries them through challenges with dignity, clarity, and the quiet authority that inspires respect without effort. Embrace this solitude not as a void, but as a space of growth. Allow yourself to feel, reflect, and act intentionally. In doing so, you cultivate a strength that others may sense even if they do not understand its source. A quiet power that guides your life, shapes your decisions, and ensures that your path, though walked alone, is purposeful, resilient, and unwavering. Now, reflect for a moment on everything we have explored together: the courage to walk alone, the patience to act deliberately, the clarity to lead without the need for approval, and the resilience to trust yourself in solitude. Each step you take on this path is a testament not to the applause of the crowd, but to the depth of your character, the strength of your convictions, and the integrity with which you live your life. True greatness is never born from ease or conformity. It is forged in quiet determination, in the moments when the world is silent, skeptical, or even opposed. You have the power to cultivate that greatness within yourself, to make choices guided by reason, principle, and courage, and to walk your path with dignity even when the footsteps of others are absent. Consider the challenges you face today, the decisions that feel isolating, the responsibilities that weigh heavily, and the ambitions that seem too distant for others to understand. Let this reflection remind you that walking alone is not a mark of weakness, but of authenticity, foresight, and leadership. By embracing solitude as your ally, you preserve your clarity, nurture your resilience, and allow your influence to grow in ways that applause or validation never could. Each choice made with careful reflection, each act of courage quietly executed, builds a foundation for a life of impact, purpose, and lasting fulfillment. I encourage you to subscribe and engage with this channel, not merely to follow content, but to commit to your own growth, to step into the discipline of reflection, and to strengthen the habits of independent thought and emotional mastery. Like and share this reflection if it resonates, and consider commenting with a moment in your life when walking alone led you to clarity or strength. By doing so, you not only reinforce your own learning, but you contribute to a community that values wisdom, courage, and integrity. Remember, the path of true greatness may be walked alone, but it is never lonely when guided by conviction and self-trust. Carry these insights with you, act with intention, and know that the life you build in quiet strength will speak far louder than any words ever could.